As a result of system-wide cutbacks, there have been rumors floating around these last several months about the UC possibly closing down certain departments here on campus. While budget cuts are nothing new, these latest rounds threaten the school more than ever before. This year, Governor Jerry Brown has proposed an additional $500 million budget cut to the entire UC system. UC Santa Cruz will see a loss of $31 million. In fact, past budget cuts have forced the school to cut 80 faculty positions and 110 quarters worth of teaching assistants. We've also seen them cut pensions for grounds and custodial workers, and most importantly, we've seen them cut back entire departments. Despite the 8% tuition hike last quarter and the 32% hike the year before that, students are still feeling a steep drop in the quality of their education.
The hours of the library used to be a lot longer, and now they're shorter. And I think they proposed a referendum, is that what they're called, last quarter, so that we would pay more to get the library hours extended. So add more to like student fees, which I thought was ridiculous because library hours is something that should be available without us having to pay, $6 more each quarter to have that happen.
It's definitely rough. I mean, how are you supposed to think about going to higher education grad school when you're struggling just to pay for your BA,
Right.
So it's tough. It takes a toll on you. It went up it's gone up a ridiculous amount. My brothers both went to school and now I'm paying nearly twice as much or a third as much, a third more than they were paying. It's kind of ridiculous.
But I think the real problem is that fees are increasing without anything showing, oh, we're going to cut back $500 million, increase tuition again, but quality still get worse overall. There's nothing to show for it, So I think it's just kind of ridiculous. And it's demoralizing, really. Oh, I'm paying more, but I'm getting less. If it was a restaurant, I'd be pissed. I wouldn't go back.
A lot of my residents are taking classes that they absolutely do not need for GEs or for anything, just because they need the credits to be full-time students, but they can't get into the classes that they actually need. So it's really surprising that it's that bad.
It's always been understaffed. We don't have enough TA to teach class, even though the teacher really wants to teach a bigger class.
Raising class sizes, that just makes it harder to get in touch with your professors. They get swamped. You have to go in during office hours, and sometimes they're swamped in there.
Last year, UC Santa Cruz eliminated the entire Community Studies department, and it looks like others will soon follow. The American Studies Department, for example, has proposed to stop admitting students into the major as of July 1st. This was the first in a series of steps that eventually led to the elimination of the Community Studies Department. Even though the department itself is optimistic that it will reopen its doors after 2 years, it's difficult not to take into account the far-reaching effects of shrinking resources. With proposed cutbacks looming over UCSC, the school may be forced to make a 6% cut across all departments. More importantly, a possible cutback would include a severe diminishing of the Business and Administrative Services Division. These services include police, fire, environmental health and safety services, human resources, physical planning and construction, transportation and parking, and even grounds and custodial services. Many students feel that these rollbacks aren't happening in the right places. So we asked what they think should happen with what money is left.
Speaking from the psych department, because that's all I really have experience with, I just wish that we had more TAs.
If you can't find it in the budget to take away from something else to give education, maybe raise taxes, level it all out a little bit, because, education can't just keep taking cuts. You can't have stupider people as you progress in the future.
And some of the other UC campuses, the libraries are open until 2 in the morning, and I sometimes need to rearrange my study schedule because the library's only open until 11 or only open on this time of the weekend. And I think it's something that needs to be open 24/7 because that's probably the main representation of education. I don't know.
For the first time, students are paying more for the cost of their education than the state. And because of this, we will continue to see a rise in cost of education with a corresponding decline in quality of education. For Banana Slug News, I'm Ryan Anderson.